We're back at Winton Raceway for the Joss Group Winton300, and we have our fourth and final race for the Alpha Challenge this weekend. It's not the biggest field that we've had, but certainly it's been some good racing amongst these guys, considering that they've got cars racing at Sydney Motorsport Park and Sandown Historics this same weekend. There's a track map for you. 12 corners, of course. First one is probably where the most action happens in the early part of a race, at turns 1 and 2. Turn 3 is the old turn 1 from the old circuit, of course, and then we got turns 4 into turn 5, the sweeper, up to 6, 7, 8 and 9, which is what they call a cleavage, down to 10, 11, good passing there, and then of course 12, you've got to watch for the undercut or over and under manoeuvre. As we see the Alphas line up, we've got Harris on pole, Cariglano on second, Mushamini on third, McGrath on fourth, Netta 5, Bonono on 6, Botcher, Wilson, Pryor, Fully, Steady, excuse me for not getting these names right, but my Irish heritage has not a lot to do with Italians, and well, we love the Italians, it's just the names are a bit of a tongue lashing. Yeah. And hardest name there, of course, is Wilson. That's a real tongue twister.
Yeah, that's really challenging, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, should be a good battle, this one, the final Alfa Romeo East Coast Challenge race of the weekend, because both Darren Harris and Frank Frigliano have been pretty quick this weekend. They had a good battle in race number 1 yesterday, and Frigliano had some dramas in race 2. Had to fight his way back through the field in race 3, but he's earned himself a front row start alongside Darren Harris for this final race. So.
And it looks like we won't have Gatto, the race 2 winner, back. He pulled out at the start of the third race, so he didn't take his spot on the grid.
No, and he hasn't come around again, so that's a shame, because that was a pretty pacey car as well.
The first race was obviously the highlight. The top 3 were nose to tail all the way up until the second last lap, where Harris lost the lead and then had to lose at turn 12, so that spread him out a little bit, because Gatto was lucky not to have contact with Harris when that little incident happened. There was no touching, but this is the last race, 8 laps. As you can see, our front 2 fairly evenly matched in their GTV 6s.
So set for a race start just about here for the Alfa Romeo East Coast Challenge final. Green flag at the rear of the field, 5-second board given to the drivers. This will be the final time that we have the Alphas on track this weekend. And lights out, away we go. Great jump, great reaction time from the policies of Darren Harris. He easily gets the jump on Carigliano, who actually comes under pressure on the outside from a very fast starting Matt McGrath. McGrath with an absolute cracker of a start off the second run of the grid, and he moves up into third position. Not a very good start for Alfio Yusumechi in the Alfa GT, who started this race out of third position, but lost lots of spots.
Yeah, he's dropped well back down the field, so we expect him to come back later in the race, but at the moment he's got to negotiate some older model Alphas that he's mixed up with at the moment. And it's Harris, our leader. At the moment he's skipped away a little bit, which is not what Cariglano would have wanted, because they were the 2 fast cars where we expect to see take it on. We see there goes car 5, Mushy picking off one car through there, car 20, that's Wilson of course, in the older model GTV. And there's Alpha Sud right behind him, Botches 105, I think they are, the 105 Alpha Sud.
Yusumechi gets one of those spots back, makes the move down on the outside of Enrico Bonomo, heading into turn 10. But we'll still have a few other cars that you'll have to try and pass, including the Alfa Romeo 75 of Robert Panetta, who's been in this category for a number of years, Gary.
Well, I can remember back in, when I first started riding, I think that was back in the 80s, he was racing these cars long-time Alpha stalwart. Won't call him a veteran, just in case he isn't one.
Good battle as well between Mark Crisafulli and Evan Botcher. Evan Botcher in the Alpha Sud, Crisafulli in the GTV.
And they four-cylinder GTV in behind that one as well. The gap between our race leader and second is half a second, or near enough that it doesn't matter, 0.49. And one kicked off. That's kicked off a bit of dirt there.
Pinutaro there in car number 84.
I thought it was car 23 actually.
Oh, actually, yes. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, he's our race leader, 623, Darren Harris.
Oh, and we're hearing as well that Darren Harris is going to get a 5-second penalty for a jump start.
So he'll have to put he'll have to do what the Vic V8s were doing, set some faster times and get himself out another 4.5 seconds, so he's not under any danger of losing the event, which I don't think he'll be able to do, considering the speed of Frank Gariglano's car in second spot.
Well, we said, didn't we, at the start that it was an excellent reaction time and an excellent jump, but turns out that it was a bit too excellent. He went before the light had actually gone out.
Yeah, so he will be cursing and swearing that one in Italian, no doubt, although with a name like Harris, I don't think his heritage is actually Italian, not like the others.
No, with names like Carigliano and Panetta and Musumeci.
Yeah, at least you can get your tongue around them. I'm finding I'm struggling with those names.
Speaking of Musumeci, here he is down the inside of Robert Panetta into turn 1, right over the curb, and Panetta is going to still be on the inside for the next corner, turn 2, so Musumeci not able to get the job done.
Yeah, the beauty about this class too is that all the different model Alphas that run in it, and vintages I might add as well. 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, front wheel drive.
From the 70s through to what?
Rear wheel drive.
Through to what? That the late 90s or early 2000s even.
Yeah, exactly. None of them are turbocharged, I don't think, but there's your gap. So in just 2 laps, Harris has extended that lead to 1.4 seconds. So that's that would indicate that he could probably go on with this. But if Carigliano is aware, he may be able to maintain the gap and take the win. If he wanted to, you'd want to hope that his pit crew would make that known.
Oh, Musumeci way off into the dust.
Yep.
At turn number 9. We've seen that on quite a few occasions already today. Just the understeer there with the front wheel drive, trying to get out of that corner quickly for the run onto the back straight.
And once you're on the dirt, it turns into oversteer. If you have to correct it the other way and get back on the track. And fortunately, you're not going to get bogged out there, that's for sure.
No, not in these weather conditions. Last year, different story when it poured with rain on the Sunday. An extraordinary number of cars. Last year, Gary got claimed by the wall separating the old pit lane from the old pit straight. Got sideways exiting turn 2, overcorrected, and ended up firing into the wall on the right-hand side, including the Burgesses in their Ginetta. Incidentally, they actually got helped by a slower car. As Musumeci goes for the move under brakes at turn 3. Ooh, that was pretty tight there.
I think the TV angle sort of belies it a little bit. I think they turn in wider than what it looks. And we see that in all spheres of racing. It looks from the depth of field that they're cutting across the front of them. In actual fact, they're not. But still, he didn't get the job done, did he? Which he wanted to do, use some Nazi.
So Panetta's car, the Alpha 75, I'm pretty sure that'll be the 4-cylinder twin spark engine in that car. That was one of the unique things, wasn't it, about the Alfa Romeo engines? They ran the twin spark configuration.
Yep. And probably the best known one to Colin Bond running one in Group A, turbocharged model, the Alpha 75. That gap, incidentally, between first and second was drawn out to about over 2 seconds. So as we see another one off the road there, and that's car 32.
Yeah, that's Bruno Clouty there, and he loses that spot to Enrico Bonomo. Oh, does he down the inside? Oh, got right up on the curb there at turn 11.
Yeah, and then went sideways and lost his drive, as he did out of turn 12 as well.
So those two older model Alpha GTVs are playing pretty hard. We've also had the Evan Botcher Alpha Sword head into the pits as well after 2 laps. So that car you would assume would be out of this race.
We've just gone half distance, the gap 2.8 seconds, so Harris is on track to get that 5-second lead, which he'll need to hold on to the win here in the 4th and final race for the Alphas. So at the moment, Frank Carigliano, I'll get it right in a minute, can't do anything about bridging that gap, but he is out by about 2.5 seconds, 2.3 seconds over.
2.8 it is actually, so he can't afford to lose.
The gap between second and third, 2.5.
Yeah. There we go, 2.8 for the official margin last time around at the start-finish line. So,
and Mark Graves is about the same distance further back.
Yeah, so at the moment, with the 5-second post-race time penalty that's coming in the way of Darren Harris at the completion of this race,
he'll be third.
That'll put him. He'll be second just. He'll still be 0.1 of a second ahead of McGrath.
Yeah. Yes, he will be. Yeah, so you hold second. Ideally, you want to be first, so won't he? And it's out to 4 seconds now, so there goes that theory.
So Harris can still win this race. He needs to find another second over Carigliano in the last 3 laps of this race. Carigliano has to try and keep the margin to under 5 seconds.
Which, considering their fastest laps are 7/10 apart, that might be a bit hard to do.
Robert Pinataro has come into the pits as well in car number 84. So a couple of retirements.
Possibly drop the heat as it warms up.
How do you expect the attrition rate to be in the Winton300 this afternoon, Gary, given the temperatures that we've got?
Yeah, my worry more is the turbocharged cars than the non-turboed ones. I'm just seeing what the outside temperature is at the moment. And it's telling me at my home address there's no temperature. It's 25 degrees here at Winton.
Feels a bit warmer than that, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it is warming up, and given that it's only getting on to 11 o'clock in the morning, and the heat will really hit us after lunch, no doubt. And it should get up to around the predicted 30 degrees. The race leader should come through, and given these current lap times, should push that gap out. So he's crossed the line now to finish lap 6, 5.3 seconds back to second. So effectively he's now not only leading the race on track, but leading the race overall. Still in second position, that gap hasn't changed much at all. It's 1.7 seconds second to third, and that's been pretty static for the last couple of laps between Carigliano and Margrave as they battle it out for the minors at this stage. So obviously the little GTV in third spot has designs on finishing second here this weekend if possible, or finishing the last race in second spot. Closes right up down at turn 7 and brings it back around. So these two the battle of the race at the moment, as now we know that the gap to the leader is past that 5-second target. And interesting to see that on the last lap, Margrave was actually faster than Carigliano, only by about 1.6 seconds, but still.
So coming into the last lap this time around. So 5.1 seconds the margin on the previous lap. Darren Harris has done a really good job in this race, just putting his head down, punching out the faster lap times that he's needed to build that margin over Carigliano at 6.4 seconds with 1 lap to go. So Harris, even despite that 5-second time penalty for jumping the start, looking pretty good for the win here.
Yeah, so probably just reward because we didn't see it, so it must have been only very marginal that he was skewed to start by.
I do like that the protocol for a jump start has now become you get a post-race time penalty of 5 seconds, because it used to be a drive-through, and that seemed to be a penalty that didn't really fit the crime.
Well, particularly in a lot of cases, because you redress start with by hitting the brakes, you've punished yourself anyway, and then to get a drive-through on top of it is more than what that penalty was worth.
Yeah, and in a sprint race like this one, you get a drive-through, it completely ruins your race.
Yeah, and we've had instances in races we've called in the past where there's been a massively great dice for the lead, but one with a black flag hanging over it for a jump start, and once he pulls out of the race is gone. There's no entertainment value, and at least by making it a post-race penalty, the dice can continue.
So Darren Harris through turns 11 and 12 for the final time, and yesterday was not ideal for Darren Harris, but today he's made up for it. Even despite a penalty, he's still going to redeem himself and win the final race of the weekend for the Alfa Romeo East Coast Challenge, minute 39.4 on his final lap of the race as well, and in the end the margin 7.5 seconds, so gets a win of still more than 2 seconds. Oh, and
Mucciamini's out on the last lap.
Oh, what a shame.
That's out of turn 9.
So that car has ground to a halt, and that'll be one for the recovery crews to go and collect. He's done a good job of getting it out of harm's way, but he will be classified as a non-finisher.
We don't know if he spun off there or just had a mechanical issue of some description. 23 rounds the final corner. Comes down to take the checkered flag. So on a rough calculation, we would assume that Harris would have won overall, because he has finished at the pointy end in all races and won 2 of them.
Indeed. So he, you would think, would be the round winner. There's Robert Panetta giving the thumbs up to the crowd as well. Big thanks, as always, to our volunteer officials here at Winton Motor Raceway, our flag marshals, our fire rescue and recovery crews, all of the officials in race control as well, who volunteer their time in all weather conditions to ensure that these race meetings run smoothly. Confirmation on the screen of your final results.
Yeah, Harris from Carigliano, Margrave in 3rd spot, Panetta in 4th, Cugliacci and Christopher round out our top 6. We're going to take another short break. We'll be back with Vic V8s shortly.